Dennis, if you guys want to your presentation, I'll stop sharing here.
Okay. I'm going to apologize up front. We got a lot of people in the building today, Eugene. So
Okay.
apologies for the background noise. Not a whole lot I can do about it.
All right.
I'm not sure y'all can hear it. You guys hear the background noise, or maybe our microphone's good enough to get rid of it?
Not really.
Oh, well, that's good.
All right.
Forget everything I said. Can you see my screen, Eugene?
Yeah, I can see your slides.
Okay. Well, you tell us whenever we're ready to kick it off, and we'll get started.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put my slide back up because this is a little different format than what we're used to. We are presenting challenges and looking for solutions. Up until this point, I mean, this has always been in the plan. It's always been a goal to do this, but up until this point, the majority have been presenting solutions to identify applications. So I just want to make sure that people understand what we're doing. I know there's going to be a lot of vendors on here, and I want to make sure that they understand that this is not a pitch event, and that I don't want the chat to become a marketing tool. All right, so you see in my slide?
Yes, sir.
Cool beans. So as always, I'll be distracted while I'm talking as I'm letting people in. We had about 125 people accept the invite through the email and close to 90 on LinkedIn. And we always get a bunch of people that I don't recognize, that because like you found out, somebody puts it on the DevCom calendar and forward it. So Liza, it is good to see you again.
Oh, seeing quote air quotes, right?
Yes. A lot of stuff that a lot of people I want to introduce you to.
Oh, terrific.
On this because you're a soldier center, right?
No, we're at Armament Center.
Oh, okay. You're at Armament Center. Okay. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Well, even still, we've got a couple of armament capabilities, but we cannot present them on the forum due to the nature of their subject. So
gotcha.
I'd like to introduce you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for the invite.
Okay, so I'm going to let people in here around 1 o'clock. I am going to start. Again, I apologize. I'll be letting people in while I'm talking, so my speech will be breaking up as I back and forth between letting people in and reading my slide. One thing I do want to highlight, and I'll discuss this again, is I don't require people to put their emails address or their contact information in when they're signing in or registering for the event. However, if you do participate, if you do offer a solution or comment on a solution, please put your information in the chat so that I have that and I can follow up after the fact. And having that challenge where I don't get everybody's information, cannot follow people or with the people that are contributing. And I want to avoid that much as.
So if I go into any of the drives okay, perfect. Thank you.
Say that again. All right, it is 1 o'clock. I'm going to get started here best I can. Okay, so welcome to the Tech ID Innovation Ecosystem platform, and this is the Ideation Forum. This is an open topic forum. We do that because we want to expose challenges to the broadest number of perspectives as possible, as well as solutions, and find cross-industry, cross-science applications, collaborative partnerships to help develop better solutions. We are on YouTube, so all of the videos from all the presentations are recorded. Those videos are later uploaded to our YouTube channel. We also have a document repository where this video will be posted soon after meeting closes. That is for download. You cannot download off of YouTube. You will need a LinkedIn account to be able to access that. As always, we want to hear from you. We want to know what your challenges are, what your interests are, what your solutions are, any feedback about the forum to help us improve, and things you would like to see on the forum, and schedule updates. In the invitations, there's a whole section on future planned presentations. Please peruse that. The idea is, since we are open topic, this will give you a better opportunity to pick and choose when you want to participate and what topics apply to you. Today, SOFWERX is presenting. We had a schedule change with the dynamic machine authentication using one-time use keys. That moved from the 28th to the 4th. There will be no presentation, no forum on the 28th. I am anticipating a tremendous amount of follow-up because of the response that we've had for this, and so I don't think we're going to be able to support the 28th. We also are going to be getting into some quantum computing and quantum physics, photonics presentations. Dr. Sunil Dixit is one of the people that is going to present. Another thing I like to highlight is what we've done so far. So as of last week and since February 7th, we've had 37 presentations on the forum. We have identified 338 potential relationships and collaborations that are in various stages of development. That is the goal behind this, and we like to talk about our success as much as possible. So I want to talk about today's meeting. Today, Ideation Forum is not a pitch event, but a collaborative platform come together to present and solve challenges. This is a verbally interactive forum. If put something in the chat, I will ask you to ask your question. So it's always better to either interrupt or raise your hand if you have a question, want to present a solution. So that is how we run this. Another thing I want to highlight is that is not for self-promotion or for marketing. Those chat and you will risk getting removed from the event if you choose to do that. We provide two distinct formats for presentations. Like I said, up until now, mostly we've been presenting solutions. Somebody needs to unmute because I'm getting feedback. Provide solutions that are seeking application. We look for cross-industry, cross-science applications. Two things I like to highlight is one, we actually had a marine biologist present about his research on fish surfaces, and not only were we able to identify collaborations within the Navy, we were able to identify collaborations within Air Force, Space Force, along the lines of aerodynamics. So who would think to talk to a marine biologist if you had an aerodynamic challenge? Another one that was successful is a forensics company presented their tools for matching projectiles with guns that they were fired from, and the AI and the sensing was so intricate that we were able to identify cross-science, cross-industry applications in the medical industry and aircraft inspection, piping inspections. It was, there was about 8 or 9 different industries that we were able to bring that into, not necessarily the full solution, but the pieces, the AI and the sensor themselves. So you just don't know what you don't know. And so that is what we're trying to do here. Today is challenges seeking solutions. So we've already addressed that. And so that's another opportunity. Sorry, I'm checking people in here. Goal of this forum, the format. So the first thing is we want to raise awareness of the role, the focus, the goals, and assistance offered by the presenting organization, which today is SOFWERX, as well as how to best engage with them. So this will give you the opportunity to hear what they're trying to do for SOCOM and how you can get involved in that. One of the benefits for our forum is we not only reach out to DoD, federal contractors and vendors, we reach out to non-traditional vendors that aren't looking to do business with the federal government. We have a lot of ties in academia, and we have many, many, many ties within the federal government. And we find that we are able to reduce and identify duplicative efforts across the federal government and bring those together to collaborate and develop better solutions, more comprehensive solutions. So the other goal is we want to identify current state-of-the-art, novel, obscure, and cross-science, cross-industries technologies with a potential to resolve the presented challenges. And that's the big thing here. We want to hear about what you've seen, what you have, what your solutions are. If it doesn't matter if it was in the medical industry or if it's in manufacturing or mining, there's a good possibility that it may relate to something within SOCOM's scope. And the last thing is is we want this to be open verbal exchange because we want to do the ideation. That's when these things happen. I come from a Lean Six Sigma background. I did a lot of process improvement, and when people are evaluating the process, they're asking questions that run the process, and those people are asking, those people are answering the questions, and during that exchange of information, that is when the aha moments come. And so that is critical. The success of our forums is to have that verbal exchange, ask those questions. What if, can you, have you, did you ever think of, to get people's minds thinking and to trigger memories of technologies that to which they've been exposed in the past. And then lastly, before I go, discussions today are about viability. No, excuse me. After today, today is just ideation. After today, discussions about viability, implementation, collaboration, specific applications, etc. Those will all be done on a private phone call. Will be scheduled after this forum in the days and weeks to follow, and that's going to depend on SOFWERX's availability. So today we're not divulging IP. It's a forum. We are not getting into the weeds today. We are just trying to identify solutions and relationships that can help benefit SOFWERX and SOCOM. So with that, I put a lot of information out. I'm going to ask, does anybody have any questions? Okay, go ahead, Robert, Reagan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I live in Clearwater. I'm just down the road from you guys, and
Okay.
I'm with Defense Acquisition University on rotation with Systems Engineering and Architecture. And I attended the Special Operation Forces Conference year before last, 2022. And it looks like SOCOM and is leveraging SOFWERX really good things and expedite getting innovation in the hand. I put a question in the chat there. NDAA 24 is telling joint staff change the process, modernize it. Part of that, models, digital structure. So I was wondering if you guys, first slide said an innovation ecosystem. The NDAA explicitly calls out the leverage. So I was just wondering if you guys are plugged in discussion, SOCOM or anywhere else, anything that might help me communicate back for policy guidance.
Yeah, so I am not SOCOM or SOFWERX. I am a private company. SOFWERX is PIA. They're a partnership intermediary. They have a partnership intermediary agreement and with SOCOM, and they are part of Defense. Now, with that being said, when I started this, I started the forum. Originally, I was a civilian within the federal government. It was a federal only forum that was shut down due to a reorganization and funding issues. I chose to retire and build this as a commercial entity, commercial venture, because I saw I saw the benefit that we were bringing to the federal government, and I wanted to continue that. With that being said, one of my goals is to restart federal and partnered forum. One of the challenges that I see is with SOFWERX, for example, their focus is on SOCOM. So they do not have the ability to benefit other agencies, Air Force, unless it's Special Operations Forces, Navy, unless it's Special Operations Forces. So I'm hoping that DefenseWorks is on here, and the idea is to set up forums to assist all the DefenseWorks, SOFWERX, EnergyWorks to present technologies across all of these different industries. Also talking with Naval X, talking with the Manufacturing Innovation Institutes that are part of DoD and other PIAs as well. So I hope that answered everything you asked. I haven't been able to look into.
Knows the answer, right?
Okay. All right. So.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Anybody else before we move on?
Hey, Eugene, it's Mark Antonio here. Mark Antonio Global, DLIF. How you guys doing? To answer Reagan's question, I'll send him a note at my email. I can help with that, with what he's trying to do here. It's basically aligning with the innovation ecosystem, NDA,
Okay.
the board.
All right. Okay, anyone else? Then I'm going to turn this over to why everybody is here today. So SOFWERX is going to talk about who they are, what they do, and how to engage with them. And then we're going to get into the current challenges that SOCOM is facing and identify solutions to solve those. So Dennis, it's all you.
All right. Hey, well, thank you, Eugene. And thank you, everyone, for being on. Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Hocking. I'm one of 4 PMs here at SOFWERX. To my left is our CTO, Brian Andrews. I will punt it over to him here in a minute, but just a little genesis how we got to this point. Some of you may know who SOFWERX is. I'm sure a lot of you do, but just a little background on how Eugene and I kind of stumbled upon one another. So my background is RF engineering. I'm a double E. I've spent about 30 years in industry, either manufacturing or RF engineering. I am also a recently retired Army reservist. For the dot mill folks out there, I found Eugene on one of the DEFCON sites. One of you guys posted his calendar, and it may have been back during when we had CVR. As a lot of you may know, CVR was a wonderful information sharing tool. It's to me, it's a shame that they didn't fund that and continue that. But his invites trickled over somehow to my calendar when I had my .mil account. So I reached out to Eugene. We met during Soft Week, and he invited us to present on his forum, which I try to dial in every chance I get. So it's a great forum, really good for information sharing, as a lot of you guys know. So hopefully we can enlighten some folks as to what we do here at SOFWERX. And with that, I will turn it over to Brian. So Brian's been here since the beginning. I've been here about 5 years. So any myths that you've heard about SOFWERX, Brian can easily dispel. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brian.
Yeah, so thank you, Dennis. So thank you also, Eugene, for having us on this forum. I really appreciate it. As I said, my name is Brian Andrews. I'm the CTO here at SOFWERX. My background, I'm a Navy veteran, and my background is electrical engineering and systems engineering. And I've also worked on several Air Force platforms, Rivet Joint, ISR platform, Cobra Ball, Combat Set. How I got into SOCOM was through the Java Man program, which was a King Air 350, kind of civilian-owned GoCo aircraft or COCO, I guess, civilian-owned, civilian-operated, to support SOCOM guys over there in theater, Afghanistan, Iraq, and I did some early design work on that platform, and then would fly over into theater to add capability throughout the, probably 2009 to about 2015 timeframe. That's what brought me here to SOFWERX as they were starting this up. Hondo Gertz, kind of the brainchild of SOFWERX back in the early days, 2015, when they were doing the Talos program. And that's the Tactical Assault Light Operator suit. What they decided, even though the suit itself wasn't successful, decided that really this kind of program needs to be a permanent thing, to always be looking at technologies that spin out of that. If you go back to the Apollo mission days, right, a lot of good technology, even if we never had landed on the moon, a lot of technology came out of there. Velcro, Tang, freeze-dried ice cream, all the rocket technology that came out of there was a success in itself and really advanced industry. So that the idea of kind of having this permanent Talos program, which ended up being SOFWERX, of always trying these moonshots and these kind of tough challenges, was really kind of his brainchild. And so he started it up back in 2015. We signed our PIA. So with that, we're going to get into the slides, tell you who we are, more importantly, maybe who we're not, to put in, as Dennis said, a lot of the myths that are out there about us and what we do. So first of all, on this slide, you'll see we're under a partnership intermediary agreement. As Eugene said, this is a non-FAR-based agreement. It's not under the federal acquisition regulations. It's under different entitlement. It's Title 15. And so because of that, there's a little flexibility we have, but also some restrictions, and we'll talk about those later. How we came about, SOFWERX and SOCOM basically got together and had a baby called SOFWERX. And SOFWERX is one of the many hubs. I think there's 10 hubs now under SOFWERX. You can go to their website and look at it. I won't go through all of them. I see there's some ERDIC people on here. There's a ERDIC Works out there in Vicksburg, Mississippi that supports them. Our main customer and only customer really is SOCOM, and we are fully funded by SOCOM. So we are a nonprofit registered in the state of Florida. We're civilian. We're not government folks. And because we're a nonprofit and fully funded by SOCOM, it allows us some flexibility to do some things. No one from SOFWERX should ever ask you for $1. If they do, give me or Dennis a call because they're not from SOFWERX and they're probably trying to scam you. We're here really to support industry and try to figure out how to get capability to the warfighter as quickly as possible. So our Big Ten philosophy, you see there at the bottom, really three main partners we're looking at: the academic institutions out there, along with the federal funded research and development center, the national labs, and then the industry partners. Those are our big three out of there that we try to discover and scrape information from to find solutions for SOCOM. And industry typically for us is what we call non-traditional partners. These are folks that have never had a DoD contract or haven't had one in quite some time. Not that we're opposed to working with primes. I actually came from LPD Communications, which is now L3 Harris. I've worked for Raytheon. Many of us here have come from primes. It's just that they don't really need SOFWERX. They've got plenty of business development guys to tell SOCOM what they're doing. We're trying to find those 5 guys in a garage, trying to put together something really cool. The SOCOM might be interested in. They have no idea there's an interest. So that's kind of what we're doing in our discovery platform. So next slide. All right. So our charter, or really our platform, which is what we're speaking to you from right now, is located here in Ybor City, just outside of Tampa, Florida. We're not on base. It's really easy to come in. You don't need a visit request or anything. Come visit us if you're in town. We're on 2nd Avenue there in Ybor City, and open invitation for anyone who wants to come sit down and chat with us if you've got something cool or just want to see what we're doing. We give tours on Wednesdays, 9 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can sign up for one of those if you're in town. If you're from out of town and you're only here on a Monday, shoot us a note and say, hey, I'm only here for that day. We'll try to work something special up and kind of walk you around. This place makes more sense when you see it. It's kind of hard to describe in words, but when you come down to visit, you'll get it. The platform there is really, I want to highlight that. I use an analogy called through Uber. We're the Uber of technology for SOCOM. And it's one good way to look at us. SOCOM is the folks that need the ride, the technology ride. You guys, the industry partners out there, there are cars and our technology cars to give SOCOM the ride. We're the platform to make the connections. So we're not a lab. We are just kind of a connecting platform to find the solutions for SOCOM who has the problem set. And just like Uber does, right? You need a ride, you get on Uber, you find a car, the guy gives you a ride, and they handle all of the payment processing. And same thing here. SOCOM gives us money. They fund us up front through what we call collaborative project order. And that CPO is like a task order. We're funded through that task order. So we do business to business agreements with those companies. And so there's not like getting paid from the government. It's a lot lighter weight, a lot easier to work with. When you invoice us, we pay you in a couple of days, sometimes same day. Accountants get mad when I say that, but we've done same day payments before if it's an emergency. But you won't get that from the government, and that makes us easy to work with. So our charter right there. Yeah. Is there a question? Somebody sounded like they were popping in.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat. So go ahead, Anupam.
Yeah, sure. I didn't mean to derail your train of thought here. I'm just sort of curious how you might be working with some of the warfighters and experimentation labs for training and development, specifically Joint Special Operations University, or even some of the other like NPS type of activities where it's one thing to bring in new technology from industry, but it's also imperative to sort of train the warfighter how to innovate as well and leverage these relationships and their own sort of lateral thinking. So if you could comment on that, it'd be great. Didn't mean to derail. Thank you.
No, I can take that. So we actually have an open CPO. Brian talked about a collaborative project order. From a PM perspective, you can think of it as a portfolio. So we actually have an open one with JSOW right now. I can't get into specifics as to what we're doing, but for the government folks out there, if you have a SOCOM stakeholder and you have a problem set and funding, we can probably help you. To your NPS question, we have a partner hub out there, FleetWorks. So we work with FleetWorks on a couple of things. We've also done some work with NPS. They helped us on a Foundry project, which I'll talk about later. But there are a lot of different avenues through SOCOM that we can help various stakeholders and users. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does very much so. And just broadly speaking, like the innovation ecosystem within the DoD is growing very large. So anytime you can sort of connect the dots between, like, say, Ensign, DIU, and all of the others that are doing similar sorts of things would be helpful for at least me and some others, I would imagine, just to understand what connective tissues might occur and how to integrate or work together. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Brian will get into our ecosystem here in a minute, but you can, there's a link on our website. You can join our ecosystem and you can see all our events, see what we're doing, go to our website. But we'll hit on that more in a moment.
Yeah, and that is always a challenge. I mean, you bring up a good point, right? DoD, left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. As these, you've seen some of them have adopted our works name as they pop up and kind of, propagate. They're all kind of different, and I'll talk a little bit about the differences. You mentioned DIU. They're more of a consortium of OTAs. And I wanted to make that clear that under the PO, we are not an OTA, we're not an EFAR-based, we're not an MTA. The PIA is its own animal. And we use it differently than what a lot of people use a PIA for. And I'll talk a little bit about that later in the brief. And we'll cover some of the things we've done. If you're familiar with Dragon's Lair, which is kind of a, warfighter up, idea of how to improve their job. We did a thing with them called Claws. And we'll show that later in the brief. But yeah, we'll take inputs pretty much as long as you have a SOCOM stakeholder, we'll take the input. We don't always, get to a solution. I'm not going to promise an answer, but at least we'll give it a good look and figure out, hey, is someone else doing this? Point them in the right direction. And if they're not, and we can't get funding, just let you know, hey, apparently no one seems to want to champion this. And we've tried and, come back maybe in a year or 6 months when things change. All right, go on to the next slide.
Hold on a second. So Don Scott, do you need to talk to Dennis now?
No, I don't need to talk to Dennis now. I'll circle back with him. But we do need to have a CPO established like pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, our CPO process usually is about 30 days, as long as the money and everything's there. Usually the holdup's on the government side, not us, but we've executed even less than 30, but typically about 30 days to get a CPO going, which is fairly quick, compared to contracting. And if it's a mod to a CPO or just dropping extra money on an existing one, and we have an organization, that's 2 weeks or less. So we can move pretty quickly. A lot of times we'll try to leverage an existing CPO that we have, maybe with another PE over there, Maritime or SOFWERX or whoever, S&T. And if you can leverage an existing one, it's even faster. All right. So this slide really is about our charter. And, it's really to create and maintain a platform that we're sitting in right now, and then our online platform. I think we have over 80,000 strong in our ecosystem. All right, next slide.
So if I might, Brian, so to kind of expand on our facility here in Ybor City and our platform, we are an unclassified facility. And the reason for that is we are trying to invite as much industry and make it as unassuming as possible. Without going through the hassle of going on base, going to the visitor center. Although we do have a check-in process now, the intent here in Ybor City is to make an open facility to invite the mom and pops, like Brian talked about, the young companies to come in and feel comfortable and entice them to do business with the government. Sometimes that causes some issues with some government folks. But usually once they see our facility, They take a tour. Those concerns are usually put to rest. So I just wanted to mention that before we continue on.
Yeah, and when we started, just to kind of piggyback on that, this is a low barrier of entry, facility. And our philosophy is that usually it's not the technology that's classified, unless you're working with a nuclear weapon or fighter jet. It's not the technology itself that's classified. It's kind of who's using it, where, and on whom. So if we can separate all that and just look at the actual technology and isolate what this does, whether it be security software or whether it be a widget, if we can kind of isolate that and say, hey, here's what this thing does, the use cases can come later behind the wire once we prove out that, yeah, this is a good concept or this actually works. TRL level, usually we're looking for a 4. If all you have is a PowerPoint or an idea in your head, this isn't your place. DARPA is probably a better answer. They do more of that, TRL 1, 3 through 3 stuff. We're looking for folks that have something, or maybe commercially it's already being sold and may need a warfighter flavor. And we can add those feature sets or remove feature sets that are needed to make that usable to the warfighter. To bring up the earlier point too, bringing capability right to the warfighter and the warfighter's hand is not just buying something off the shelf. There's a lot that has to happen between the purchase of a widget and before it's a capability for the warfighter. It's got to be integrated into their existing systems. You've got to look at maintenance, training for usage. You've got maintenance support, logistics support. All these things have to kind of get lined up. And so we can help accelerate that. So another part of our mission is to accelerate kind of the procurement process from purchase to being a capability in the warfighter's hands. So we've got some processes that can help make those a little more agile, a little faster. All right. So how does it work? Again, the nominations come in from us. It's got to be a SOCOM stakeholder. That's our only requirement. It can be from the components, the theater special operation commands, the SOF units. As long as and sometimes the idea comes from someone outside of SOF, but they get a SOF stakeholder. And as long as you can find a SOF stakeholder, you can utilize SOFWERX. That's really our requirement. And if they're interested in the outcome, they feed us the nomination. We apply our SOFWERX mechanism, which we have several. I won't go into all of them, but I do want to highlight our collaboration exercise, or our CEs. And what we do on those is we do a little market research, casting a net to our ecosystem for the problem set. And we bring into our facility here, it's usually a 1 or 2 day event, everyone that might be involved in the problem. That's everything from the user that has the problem, maybe a colonel at headquarters that might be implementing the problem or paying the checks. We'll bring in industry. We'll bring academics, professors that have an algorithm on their computer somewhere in a university. The labs, we kind of cast a wide net, get everyone that we can into the room to kind of ideate on the problem, make sure we have the right problem. A lot of times the problem statement changes in the morning there. And then once we understand the problem and what potential solutions are, we kind of rack and stack, here's some potential solutions that in the art of the possible. With the industry experts and everyone there, we're not going to do something that isn't possible. We want solutions that are achievable in a short amount of time, typically less than a year. And so once we have those racked and stacked, you get a nice little spreadsheet on kind of what potential solutions might solve this problem. And from that output of that mechanism, we send that out to our ecosystem. It usually will also align with a BAA on SAM.gov. And or an RFI at least. And once that goes out on SAM.gov and goes live, we give about 30 days to respond. After the announcement, the submissions come in. We help SOCOM kind of gather them all up. And I want to foot stomp this. We're neutral facilitators. We don't pick the winners. All we do is gather all the inputs, set them over to the government, and then SOCOM will down select. Usually give them about 10 days to 2 weeks to down select. And out of that, because this process has been blessed off on legal and their contracting office, they can do any of multiple things out of that output, which is they could go straight to a FAR contract with the winner of that. They could do an MTA, an OTA. A consignment is a word we just chose, where maybe it doesn't need a full program or record. They just want to buy a bunch and give them to a couple of teams on a mission. Then they can consignment purchase them, or we can do a SOFWERX agreement with our CPO, our collaborative project order, which we're up to 83 now. So we've got 83 CPOs, since our existence. So we're doing about one a month, roughly, maybe a little more, 1 to 2 a month. And then out of those CPOs, we can do business-to-business agreements. Some of our CPOs have had 11 companies that have worked under that single CPO to solve a problem. So it's not necessarily just a one-on-one company mechanism. Sometimes maybe a small business has got some really cool hardware they invented, and a professor's got an algorithm that can run on that, and a third company's got a UI UX that ties it all together. We can get all three of those folks working together on a problem. And that's, I won't say it's unique, but very difficult to us, but it's very difficult to do under a FAR contract. It's kind of, FAR contracts are set up for kind of a bid prime, and then the prime gets to pick whatever they want as a sub. With us, we can have those conversations because we're not government, and talk to those three groups and say, hey, if you guys work together, you've got something SOCOM might be interested in. We can't force them to work together, but we've had pretty good luck. Only a handful, I think of 1 or 2 cases maybe in the 7 years or 8 years we've been around where, companies just didn't want to work together, considered themselves adversaries or competition. But for the most part, most people get it and want to work to get a result for our warfighters. All right, any question? I know it's kind of a busy slide, but that's kind of our flow chart, our process. One thing you'll note too on that is, that's about 3 months. That's pretty quick to go from an idea to now some kind of contracting mechanism. So that's, really about speeding up the train for the government to get them more toward the commercial side.
All right. So there's two questions in the chat. So go ahead,
Yep.
Nino.
Oh yeah, I'm working Tony here again. So the question is, we're working to bring in also foreign companies, and there's always that. It's not so much a challenge for me, but can SOFWERX help with some more partners? Using the office agreements, using the foreign comparative technology office. Can you guys bridge companies into that? So if yes, I would like to kind of learn and support and enhance your mission by introducing some companies, which I have already been doing for the last 7 years.
We can. Here's the caveat. They have to have a U.S.-based entity.
Nope.
So
Okay.
we've got multiple companies on contract that are doing manufacturing. I'll just say Oconus. Their headquarters are Oconus, but they have a U.S.-based office.
Okay.
Here's the other caveat now. What they manufacture typically is ITAR control. So this is becoming, as I'm sure most of you know, an issue over the last since the last NDAA. So from a PM perspective, it's something that we deal with quite often. We have to ensure that the vendors understand the NDAA compliance, and ultimately SOCOM will also research those companies to ensure that what they're manufacturing is compliant as well. They'll turn over some stones. So just a caveat out there.
Yeah, I want to add to that also real quick. Because we are unclassified, we're very well suited and often work with our Five Eyes partners. And there are companies and groups out there that can help those Five Eyes companies that maybe don't have a U.S. presence kind of get a U.S. presence quickly. So there are some avenues there. And then in our past, we have leveraged forward comparative testing. We did an ALSA project, which is the Airborne Link Services Architecture, from a UK company. And we're able to use the FCT money to pull that in to us and kind of run the project for SOCOM.
Yeah, that's actually important to know, to bridge those in from the programs. And looking at the FTC is basically a sponsorship from a PL or a co-command or just an office to be able to sponsor, right, with the FTC program, correct?
Yeah, that's we've done. We had done that in the past. That was about 2016, 2017. We did that.
All right. Let's go ahead and I don't want to get too much into the weeds on these. We only have a short amount of time, so we can capture that and that to a follow-on discussion. Real quick, David Segal.
Sure, I won't take
about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I won't take up too much time.
Thank you.
My company, Noculogix, was lucky enough to be selected for a Tech Tuesday previously, and I think we've evolved quite a bit from that pitch. From that time, made a lot of advances on the AI, ML sort of things for signal detection, and just wondering if there were opportunities to revise our profile and our pitch with SOFWERX.
Yeah, I'll take that. So absolutely. Tech Tuesday, as you know, is not a company pitch, it is a product pitch. And if your product has changed enough, now I'm not talking about you just painted it blue and it used to be green, but if you have enough capabilities where it's kind of changed or it's a lot more advanced than when you pitched last, absolutely resubmit. Tell us and highlight kind of what's different about it and where you've advanced, and we can get you back in the rotation.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, next slide. So these are just kind of the so what. I won't spend a lot of time on this. This is just our, metrics that we give to SOCOM, right? This is what they want to know is what are we doing? So this is what we're doing. So you can see all the collaboration events I talked about that I highlighted. Assessment events are more one-on-one type of events where it's not collaborative. It's just kind of SOCOM wants to hear what your technology does one-on-one. We've done quite a few of those. And then, the rest of those prize challenges, we've done hackathons. But anyway, that's just kind of our, so what to the SOCOM. Next slide. All right. So this, you could segue there, I guess, David, into this Tech Tuesday that we offer. This is our unsolicited call. For those, if you came up with a teleporter and there's no requirement out there for a teleporter, but I'm pretty sure that SOCOM would be very interested in one if it worked. So what do you do, right? No one's got a requirement because nobody knows you have this thing. Tech Tuesday, if you go on our website, you'll see kind of a Got Cool Tech button. You can click on that. It's about 10 questions you have to answer. And it's really kind of what is the maturity? What does your product do? Or your service or your software? How is it different than maybe competitors? Is what makes you unique? What's your differentiator? So those kind of questions you answer, and then we review those weekly or maybe bi-weekly, and get back to you. And then you set up your Tuesday time slot. So we do these every Tuesday, 30-minute pitches, 4 different companies. So it goes from 3 to 5 p.m. 1,500 to 1,700 for you military folks, and 30 minutes each. You're in there with a government-only panel. Looks like we have now over 1,000 government personnel that are registered, and that government-only panel will kind of look at your technology and ask you questions. We do a 15-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A, and I need about 5 minutes to switch to the next one. But we do 4 of those every Tuesday. So, keep in mind if you've got something and you don't see anything, or a call for it, but you think it's something SOCOM would be interested in, by all means, apply to that. I only really look for 2 questions. One, is it unique? Is it, kind of a differentiator or a, new, novel, provocative type thing? And secondly, is SOCOM interested? If you can answer yes on those 2, then we'll get you in front of a government panel and let you pitch. And it's your 15 minutes. Try to get right into the tech. Don't spend a lot of time on the background. This is not a VC pitch. We really don't care about your financials or what you're looking at for your TIM, SOM, any of that. We just want to know what your tech does and how SOCOM might want to use it. So it's a very technical pitch. Short. You only have 15 minutes, but it's enough to get the interest, and then they can reach back out to you. We'll share your contact information with any SOCOM individuals that are interested. And it's not just SOCOM necessarily on the call. A lot of the agencies will jump on. Department of Homeland Security is on there quite a bit. Some of our Five Eyes partner SOF units might be on there, CanSOF, UK, Australia. If you do not want Five Eyes guys, you want US only, let us know. We'll kick them off and make it a US only. So it's kind of up to you guys. Yeah. Go ahead.
So Dennis, Eugene, can you go ahead and type in the link to your SOFWERX website in the chat, just so people have it?
Yeah, if you go to our website, there's a Got Cool Tech.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then
Got Cool Tech is the button on there.
Yeah.
Right.
And for you government folks that aren't registered, feel free to register and jump on. There's a focus area or a company that you're interested in. If you're government, you're more than free to jump on. Likewise for our industry partners out there, submit. Don't get discouraged if you don't get accepted the first time. If you've got something new and something that has a SOF specific application, that's kind of the key. We will more than happy to put it on our Tech Tuesday. Our form's a little different from Eugene's. You have 10 minutes to submit to discuss your tech.
15.
15, yeah. And then 10 minutes for questions.
Yeah, and you can kind of see on the slide there the hit rate, right? So we've had 1,460 technologies submitted. About a little over half have been accepted. for whatever reason. Keep in mind, if you don't get picked up, maybe it's not, considered transformational technology. We still will push that over to the program executive office that we think might be interested in it. So if you've got an underwater device that maybe isn't that new, novel, or provocative, we'll send that over to Maritime and let them, anyone that we think might be interested. So you might still get a call even though you did get selected for Tech Tuesday.
So just I'm gonna jump in here again, keep things going. So a lot of stuff popping up in the chat. First thing I'm going to address is somebody's asking about Vulcan. I believe we're going to talk about that next. Jeremy Tootin, I'm going to table that for a follow-on discussion. Let me know if you're good with that. And then Ido and Saniac, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. So do you have any track record in collaborating with other nonprofits? My company, AFOA, in particular, works with the textile industry, and typically they are not DoD performers. And I would like to explore possibilities of perhaps learning more about spreading your message to these non-traditional DoD companies.
Sure. So one, you can be our voice piece if you know them. Secondly, if you need us to come make a presentation, if you're doing a collaboration event, or you got an industry day or an expo or something coming up, reach out to us. We can send a SOFWERX person over there, kind of give you the one-on-one to your group, or we can do it online. If you want to set up an online meeting, we can kind of run their brief to your group, and they can, dial in and same kind of thing, give you this brief, and maybe we'll tailor it to whatever your industry is, and they can get involved. So yeah, absolutely love to get involved.
Okay, excellent.
And Ido, to let you know that we are, AFOA is going to be presenting on the forum. I've been talking with Juan Wang.
Excellent.
And
excellent.
We're looking at, and this is something that would be applicable to SOCOM, would be looking at a lighter weight armor for soldiers. That was just one of the discussions we had.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'll be presenting at the NATO Open Innovation Conference in Lisbon, Portugal next month. So yeah, we typically will go out upon invitation and kind of give you the SOFWERX message for those interested, or we can do it online like we're doing right now with Eugene. So yeah, just reach out to us and let us know.
Okay,
all right, I think
so I'm going to reach out to Juan. Thank you very much.
Yep.
If I might add, also, I'm going to put the DefenseWorks website in the chat. I would reach out to DefenseWorks as well. They recently, although I think that relationship is not there anymore, but we had a hub called LandWorks out of Des Moines, Iowa, that catered to the farming industry. It was non-DoD. So I would reach out directly to DefenseWorks. They may be able to reach a broader audience for your companies as well. Just another avenue for you.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
All right. So here's some past project examples. Yeah, Dennis, I don't know if you want to go into, we'll kind of keep this short unless there's a specific one up there that you guys want to talk about. But these are just kind of some of the things we've done. It goes anywhere it doesn't have to be a widget. I know these are all widgets, might be software, might be a service. So just keep that in mind. Anything the DoD might buy, we're interested in.
Yeah, I'll kind of breeze through these really quick, and I can pause for questions afterwards. So moving from the upper left, so the what we call the SBIR drone, it was a company that developed. They have a UAV and they have a system where they can do decontamination of vehicles. So they started out just doing a raw demonstration. We've done about 3 or 4 subsequent projects. They're refining their UAV, adding some autonomy, doing some other customization. So this is a really successful story for a smaller company. I think they were like 2 or 3 people when we started. Now they're up to, I think, about a dozen. So this is a good news story for that small company. So moving over to the center, this one is another success story. So this was a project for PDO Maritime where they asked us to find a solution to be able to transport a submersible anywhere in the world via air, sea, and road transport. So we did an assessment event. Company won the assessment process and designed a trailer to be air transportable and put it on a boat. and subsequently they got a FAR contract to make more of these. Over to the right, this is a project we did for POTIS, low light camera. So this one and the project underneath it, what I'd like to mention, the LPD software defined radio. This is one where they came out of the assessment event. They said, hey, there's more than one company that has a potential solution. So what we did in both cases was we were able to negotiate contracts with multiple companies to develop similar products. So the government came to us and said, hey, we have X amount of dollars. So we as the PMs went to these companies and said, hey, how can we either descope this area or add scope to that area to get SOCOM what they wanted? So both these projects are in the process of finishing up. So moving over to the lower left-hand corner, this is another ongoing project that we actually put 3 companies on contract. Now, this one is a SBIR contract. We'll get into SBIRs here in a minute to develop a non-hazardous battery. It is an application for maritime for you Navy folks out there. We are trying to streamline the 9310 safety certification process, and we're looking at vendors who can come up with a novel battery that can do that. And we're very excited to see what these guys are going to be able to come up with. In the lower middle.
That one's not defined well, so I'd leave that off.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about this one too much, but I want to highlight it because we're going to talk about our foundry capabilities here in a minute. We did this project for AFSOC. It was let's just say, mock-up a trainer of an air transportable, let's just say, cargo transport device. So what is neat about this is we made almost all of this in-house. This was a large project for us. Took us about 5 months to manufacture the first mock-up. We did 2 of them. Each one weighed about 8,000 pounds by the time we got done. They fit on a back of a flatbed truck. They're about 12 feet wide and about 15 feet long. We leveraged, it was so big, we had to leverage another facility up the road here, Tenera Operations Group. They were very gracious and allowed us to lease some of their facility to actually assemble this thing. And also our partners out at Naval Postgraduate School, as many of you may know, they have a very advanced 3D printing center out there. So they did a wonderful job doing some mock-ups for us of some nose cones. They really turned out nice. And in fact, we came in about, I would say 50% under budget with this. So with that, I'll pause if anyone has any questions on any of these projects.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything.
All right. The last question, I see one from Typhoon in the chat. Yes, we can. If you reach out to me, we can discuss some battery. We're always looking. If you've got a battery that won't explode, you can take it on a boat. We will certainly entertain that. So,
all right, next slide. All right, so the impact. This is again really a measurement for SOCOM. Kind of what are we doing for them? So 67 transitions. Those are programs of record transitions. You kind of see the definition there. So these are folks that have really kind of got on to get the big score. One of my pitches to small companies is to have them think of us as their IRAD group they can't afford, their internal research and development group, where we can kind of move them along their roadmap, get to a feature set or capability that SOCOM's interested in. And then we're not the big score, right? So we're not, don't put a lot of profit, don't put a lot of overhead on us. Let's work together on advancing your roadmap. And because of that, we can get kind of reduced costs and a lot more efficient for SOCOM use of their dollars to negotiate this. And then, at the end of it, if there's a big FAR contract, that's kind of where your big score is. So that's my pitch to the companies. The consignments I talked about, they just buy it. I want to highlight the validations. It's not a validation in a systems engineering sense. It's a validation of, is this technology really solve your problem? And to me, that's one of the most valuable things we do here for SOCOM at SOFWERX, because we will take some of these high risk, high reward type projects And if they don't work, that's fine with us, because what we did in a few months and maybe $10,000 or, few $100,000, we found out that something doesn't solve your problem before they get into that 3-year, $5 million contract, or sometimes $10, $50 million contract. So that's really a lot of cost savings and risk avoidance, cost avoidance and risk, kind of mitigation for them. So we're a good place to start if they're not sure there's a viable solution out there. And that's really how they leverage us when they really want to do those high risk projects that no program manager of a SOCOM would ever want to entertain. We're okay with failing here. We call it fail fast. And if we can get the answer quickly without a lot of money, that's a win for us, even if the answer is no. All right, any questions on that?
Nope.
Next slide.
I just I see a couple questions in the chat, and I don't mean to kind of back out of your question about the low light camera, but we can't share technical specifications. I don't think it's appropriate in this forum. If you hit me up later, we can have that discussion, but we don't share anything outside of SOCOM without SOCOM's permission. So we're very careful not to violate our agreement with them. Even if we want to share it with another government agency, if someone finds out, for example, about, hey, I heard you guys were doing a low light camera project, then I'll reach out to my counterpart over at SOCOM and make sure they're okay with us sharing. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But before we do any of that, we always get that approval from our partners over SOCOM.
And that's same for our industry partners too. If you're an industry fellow on the line there, and anything you share with us, we only share with SOCOM. Now the caveat is SOCOM is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, so it may go up to the big services, but that's all we share with. If another company wanted to come in and say, hey, I want to work, company A wants to work with company B, I do not share even your slick sheet with them. All I'll do is make a contact, arrangement with you guys and say, hey, this person's interested, and let you guys work out the details for two reasons. One, I may not have the latest, spec sheet that you've given me, and I don't want to, undersell the changes and the new specs you have. And secondly, you may not want to share that with other companies, and we understand that. So we'll let you do the sharing, and the NDAs that need to get in place can happen offline between the two businesses. But we do not share any company or government information, amongst other folks in our ecosystem. So yeah, don't ask us for some other company's spec sheet or slick sheet. We'll just make the connection, and you can reach out to them directly. All right.
All right. So, hey, this is Eugene again.
Yep.
So we're an hour into this,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you had other things, but I'd really like to get into the people are starting to ask questions about the technologies and stuff that you have posted. We
Sure.
had the technology gaps. So I'd like to go ahead and, if we could, pause here, get into the technology gaps, start addressing those, and then finish up the presentation
Yep,
when we're
sounds
done
good.
addressing that.
All right, we'll pause that and share, and then we can pull up our website.
All right.
So we talked about Tech Tuesday. Yeah, we talked about Tech Tuesday being our unsolicited call. Our solicited calls are done through our events page. And if you go to our events, these are when you see something on our event page. By the way, if you are a member of our ecosystem, as soon as these go live, you'll get an email from us. We don't spam you. The only email you'll ever get from us is a business opportunity, meaning we have money in the bank ready to solve this problem. The only thing we will ask is that if a problem comes across your desk, and maybe that's not your wheelhouse, you're not a cybersecurity guy, but your next door neighbor is, feel free to forward that on to them, because that's kind of how we grow word of mouth. But these solicited calls, everything in here, we have money to solve the problem. And now some of these are events, not necessarily are, not a solution event, but for instance, that Innovation Foundry is more of a futuristic looking at, I think that's what contested logistics in the.
It's one of the areas.
Yeah.
The IF events usually focus on a handful of technology areas. Contested logistics is just one of them. But for our industry partners, these events are good for you guys to attend to. If nothing else, you get good networking out of it. There's probably about 150 people in the building today, all from various companies, government agencies. So it's good exposure for your company to attend some of these events.
Yeah, I know we had a JSAL member online.
Yeah,
so this is their AI platform. You click on that. So if you click on any of these events, so unfortunately you missed the closure, just closed the inputs. What you won't see on there, because when it closes, we take them off. But typically in our events, when we go to an open one, we'll show you all the templates are there. So if we're asking for a 3-page white paper or we're asking for a quad chart, we'll put the templates on there. And any other information, like what is the selection criteria, if they provide that, will be on that website right there. So you can click on any of the timelines, and you can basically follow the whole event through and know exactly where you are and what you're getting graded on. So I think that's a lot more transparency than you typically get with some of the government selection. And we've really tried hard to do that, make it easy to apply. We don't ask for 50-page white papers that's going to take half your staff a month to put together. We're trying to do things, where in just an hour or two, you can put it together and submit to not make it burdensome on these small businesses that can't afford to put a whole crew of folks on there. So that this non-FAR kind of process is a lot better for these small businesses. But yeah, this kind of describes the event. If you scroll up, you'll see kind of the background. I know you kind of went to the bottom, but if you read down through the top, you'll see all of the background. Yeah, go up to the top.
Well, if I might jump in real quick. So for the government folks on, so every one of these events that we post on our website gets reviewed by SOCOM Legal. So this keeps us out of jail, and it also allows you as a government stakeholder to go straight to a FAR contract because we satisfied the fair and open competition part. Everything here is on sam.gov, and this is what allows us, I think, to be so successful. So,
but at the top there, right? So there's the purpose, the background. JSAL's looking for a GPT model tailored to the commercial.edu domain, and then there's the objectives that we'll put down there. Develop this model architecture for academic and administrative tasks. So we kind of break it down on what we're looking for. Usually you can read these things in about 5 minutes or less. So again, not trying to have you wade through 100 pages of kind of gobbledygook. We're trying to boil it down to what are we looking for, and if you can help solve that problem, or if you even have a piece of the problem, highly recommend you submit, because a lot of times these take 3 or 4 companies working together. So if you think you've got a piece of the puzzle, submit, and we'll do the puzzle making on our side to figure out how to move these, group these companies together to create a product that'll help them out. So again, the events page, this is kind of the place to come for our solicited events that we're looking for a specific solution. So if you want to back out, see what the latest ones, it's the end of the year. So we're a little light on events right now. For the networking, I would definitely put this on your list to apply. This networking event we do a thing called speed dating in it, where you will get to register to meet with a program executive office or a program manager over at SOCOM and talk about your solution or whatever you have and get some feedback on what they're looking for. So it's a good opportunity to network not only with other industry partners, but with SOCOM stakeholders over there to find out if there's a good fit for what you've got. So, there's a comment on there, extremely impactful. I've been to 4 of them. So this is, I think you've been to all then. I think we started this about 3 years ago and I've had pretty good success. We had over 1,000 people apply for the last one. And it's a good kind of a way, especially if you don't know anything about government, it's a good way to kind of network and learn, how does the government do business and how do I get that big FAR contract? So have some guest speakers that will, tell you different, topics over, what's an SBIR, what are some FAR requirements that your company might need to have before you can get that big FAR contract. So all these guest speakers will kind of highlight, government side of the issue, and then the industry partners that are there can, again, like I said, through our speed dating event, which usually lasts a couple hours, you'll have about 10 minutes with each folk, and we use a tool called Umbrella, which you can register and say, I want to meet with PEO Maritime. They'll have a desk here, put up a time, and then show up at that time. And you've got 10 minutes to talk to the program executive office of Maritime or or maybe it's one of their lead program managers who's really who you want to talk to. Everybody always wants to talk to the PO. Talk to the PMs. They're the ones that kind of hold the purse strings and run the projects. All right.
On the IF and the RCA. We haven't done an RCA in a while.
What's an RCA?
Rapid capability.
Oh, yeah, rapid capability assessment. So the innovation, the Innovation Foundry, we actually have 16 going on right now. Facility, that's what the background noise is. And those are kind of future events. They're looking at things in 2030 or 2035. What does warfare look like? They'll have a couple of topical areas. Those are really kind of thought experiments, but everybody that's attended one, I've got nothing but, man, I'm so glad I went to this. This blew my mind. A lot of smart people in that room. They usually neck it down to about 50 to 75. And you'll be in there with some academic, strategic thinkers, futurists, warfighters, all thinking about, hey, what does warfare look like on whatever their action area is. I think the one before this one was Arctic, how to get around in the Arctic environment and not just survive but thrive up there. But it's really fascinating to listen to all the experts kind of talk about where they think things are going and what needs to happen to kind of get there. Rapid capability event. I don't know when the last one we've had. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years. And the intent of those is to get something, and that's the name, rapid capability, for a company to come in and demonstrate something that might be at a TRL level 6 or 7 that they can get to the hands of the warfighter quickly. Actually, I'm surprised we haven't done one of those in a while. And we do events when SOCOM asks us to do them. We don't, we're not the genesis for these events.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we have 3 lines of effort for SOCOM. One is discovery, is finding, the companies that are out there. The next one's September. So once we discover, right, the next thing is engage those that we discover. And then the third part that kind of gets missed a lot is the accelerate piece. And it's a lot of what we do. Those RCAs are a good example of accelerating going back to my little demonstration there. If I've got a capability that to get to the warfighter's hands, it's not just buying it off the shelf. I've got to accelerate the procurement process. And so we work a lot with that kind of thing. Cancel that. Okay. So I don't know what that is. So anyway, trying to accelerate, the procurement process for SOCOM is a big part of what we do.
For the Tech Tuesday question, yes, you'll get a response. It may take a week or two if our coordinator gets busy. Hey, but don't get discouraged. A lot of times we will share. If we don't select you for Tech Tuesday, it may be because it wasn't SOF specific. But a lot of times I'll reach out to Eugene and say, hey, we'll make the connection. I've shared with DIU. We share with other agencies, CBIR, DEFCOM, and also Army Future. So don't get discouraged. We won't forward your text. We will share it, pending your permission.
Yeah, and you will get feedback. Sometimes a lot of times it's not mature enough. We've had folks submit that are TRL 2 or 3. And usually the answer is, hey, once you get a prototype working, come back and resubmit. We'll get you in front. We typically like a 4. It can be ugly. We'll deal with ugly prototypes. If it's got wires hanging out, things duct taped to the side, that's fine with us. We just want to make sure there's an actual proof of concept or something working, so that we're not getting, just PowerPoint vaporware in front of our government sponsor.
So can we get into some of the technology gaps, the small RF antennas, low cost UAS, all that?
The BAA.
Yeah. So I'll let you get on the small RF antennas.
Yeah. So there's an open BAA, and I don't know if you can find it real quick. We tried to find it through SAM.gov. There's an open BAA for SOCOM, and it's usually under the SMT, the Science and Technology Division. And these are technologies that they're constantly looking for. The batteries is a good one, like you said. If you have a battery that has a high energy density and doesn't catch on fire, that's all. They're always looking for that. They review these, I think, monthly on that SAM.gov BA. We're going to try to find it. It's not easy to navigate through SAM.gov. Sorry, I thought we were going to bookmark this page, but I think we deleted our Yeah, they deleted our stuff. But if you go in there, small RF antennas is another one.
I think that was it.
And they typically look for, and this is kind of an open call, right? And I would tell people, if you found an HF antenna that was as big as a soda can, yeah, they want to know. They want to know what that is. I think that the laws of physics, but
that's what I'd like to start discussing here.
Sure.
Is to start looking at the solutions that people have that they can discuss with you. Obviously, you can't make any decisions, but you can direct them to the right people or to this BAA.
Yes, and that's so the BAA, right, would definitely respond to that if you've got something in their technical areas. They run that. They don't necessarily run that through us. That's an open BA they have with their contracting office over at S&T. And yeah, I don't think I highlighted this in the brief, but to have a PIA, a partnership intermediary agreement, it has to be with a national lab. And so we get questioned all the time from the government folks, well, how are you guys working with a lab? And the reason is the SOCOM Science and Technology Group that directorate's considered a lab. Even though they don't necessarily operate like a normal national lab does, they don't have a bunch of scientists running around with chemistry sets inside there. They are considered a lab, and their our PIAs with them, with the Science and Technology Group. And so the S&T are more your, DARPA. They're looking for that early stage stuff, and they'll handle the TRL 1 through 3 stuff pretty easily. We're kind of the 4 and on. Our goal as SOFWERX, even though we're, our PIAs with S&T, is to take this stuff that's commercially maybe a 9, but, as far as the DoD is considered, or for a DoD application would be a TRL 4 or 5, and rapidly get that to a technical exercise where they can play with it in the field. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we try to do. So if you've got something, if you've got a commercial antenna that's smaller than most antennas, in that frequency range, yeah, let us know. We'll try to get that into the BAA and then get you into a technical exercise where you can demonstrate that. We did that with a group. I think they're working up in the Arctic now, but their antenna kind of specialized on that low angle satellite, because when you get up in the North Pole up there, all the satellites at a really low angle to the horizon, and which causes its own problems with attenuation. And they were able to pick up communications a lot better with a fairly small vehicle mounted antenna. So that was an interesting win for us back. I think it was called the Nantenna, and you could get it. You can buy that. I think online. It's a commercial product now, but they got a government contract to develop that and get it going.
Yeah, and kind of expand on the battery thing. I see a couple of you put some links to some batteries. I'm going to check them out.
I wanted to start with the so we started with who was it? Low light cameras. So Vasant.
Yeah, so we saw one that, what was it? Half a lux?
Millilux.
Millilux.
It's a millilux.
Yeah.
So Vasant, you want to talk about?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I got Mr. Gupta. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, sure. Just a question on sort of the development cycle of the solutions we'll be bringing to the table. Is there, are you early stage? Are you looking for typically like TRL like 1 through 5, or all TRL levels are okay? Because especially in the software realm, we're constantly developing and iterating. So I'm just sort of curious as to what your frame looks like when we're bringing products to the table. And then if we're not selected for Tech Tuesday, what do you do we get any feedback in terms of we're looking for something XYZ? Like, do we have an opportunity to really engage in the discussion?
Yes. Well, first of all, the 10-minute Q&A, right? Hopefully you're online. I will say during the pitch, bring a technical person, because we don't know who's going to be online, and sometimes the questions can get very technical, like can it do X or can it do Y, or how is this being done? So please make sure it's not just a business development folks on there. We typically look for TRL 4, so we want a proof of concept. We want something working at least in a lab. It doesn't have to be pretty, it can be ugly, but we want a TRL 4. And if you've got a demo or a video or something that shows, or if it's software, a live demo of how it works, even better. That's better to me than a PowerPoint slide. And when you submit, if you have real pictures, don't show me a CAD drawing because it's less likely to, convince me you have a TRL4 if all I see is a CAD. But if you've got you can send both. But if you've got an actual picture or a video of it, if you had a drone and a video of it flying in your backyard, that's a lot better than here's a CAD drawing of my drone. But we look for the 4 and we try to get you to a 7. So that's in our wheelhouse. And that the reason we're trying to get you to a 7 is we want to get you to a technical exercise that SOCOM will be hosting where they can go play with in the field and make sure, this is solving their problem or something that they desire. So that's kind of our goal, is to accelerate you from a 4 to a 7 as quickly as possible. That is, as you know, the valley of death. A lot of good products kind of die in there. So we're trying to get you across that point as fast as possible. Typically, our stuff is less than a year. Our CPO period of performances are about a year long. And if you want to put a dollar amount on it, not that we're bound by this at SOCOM, but most of our projects are less than $1 million and under a year. And the reason is usually it's already kind of refined or it's got, a lot of legs already. And all we're doing is adding some feature sets or changing some requirements, making it a different color, those kind of things. So it doesn't tend to be a lot of money. We can get it to you quickly and get you kind of accelerated. We have done multi-million-dollar CPOs, so that's not a congressional limit on us. It's just most of our projects tend to fall in that range. Most folks can do it in 3 or 4 months with about 3 or 4 engineers, give them $500,000 and they're good to go and kind of accelerate their roadmap. That makes sense. All right.
All right. So if I didn't hear anything from Mr. Joshi about the low light cameras, Bill Goodman, wouldn't mind discussing the batteries?
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. This has been very informative.
So this is Vasan Joshi. I was asking about the camera.
Oh, sorry about that.
So would you let the gentleman who's doing that to contact me, because I can talk him offline?
Yeah, if you just shoot me an email, I can make the link up. But I can just tell you that they look for cameras that are very small. Don't get hot. That's very important. We see a lot of them that get very hot. And that can operate in very low light levels in the millilux.
Range.
Yeah, that's about, as far as deep as I can go on the technical side of that, what they looked at. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, shoot me an email and we can discuss offline.
Okay. All
right. Sorry about that, Bill. I want to go ahead and take that line before we go into the batteries, just in case there's anybody else. So is there anyone else here with a low light camera solution? Been exposed to technology that's low light cameras? Andy, you're unmuted, Andy. Guess not.
So the company who makes it may actually get some information from me, because I've been in this field for a very long time.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to send an email to whom do I send to?
Dennis Hocking. You can copy me, or you can send it to me, and I'll send it to Dennis.
Okay.
All right. So that was all we had on low light cameras. Move on to batteries. Bill.
Thank you. So we're a Largo company. I've been over to SOFWERX a couple times. We did had something that was selected in Vulcan, and we did a tech talk earlier in the year, and we might not have had the right audience on that day. It's kind of a luck of the draw kind of thing who shows up. But on our website, goodmantechnologies.com, is a green power trailer. It was developed on a phase 2 sequential STTR for the Army. And basically, it's a 2.5 ton tactical trailer with 110 kilowatt hours of storage battery. It has an inverter system on there, so you could do AC, DC. It has a microgrid that, constantly recharges the smart battery system. It has a BESS on it, and it's been ruggedized, so you can drop it out of a helicopter. You can drop it out of the back of a C-130. You don't have to have the trailer. The battery storage system itself is encased in a ruggedized structure that allows it to act as a pallet, so you can pick it up on the sides, the ends with regular forklift. And it's good for up to 100 mile per hour winds. It can take 5 inches of rain per hour. You can hit it with a railroad car at 8 miles per hour, but not 9. And yeah, that'd be a bad thing. It's currently out in Reno right now, being tested by Desert Research Institute. And so the design is scalable. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, and we've been trying to get it into FEMA. That's just a big challenge, but it is lithium iron phosphate, and the reason we did that because we were making it for the Army, and we knew people were going to shoot bullets at it. But the nice thing is it replaces diesel or gas generators, so it greatly improves the logistics trail at the point of need. It's silent, doesn't have an acoustic signature, doesn't have a smoke signature. So and you can camo paint it, and add netting, and the solar cells will still pick up the sunlight. So it's pretty much been made for you guys.
Hey, Bill. Yeah, question. So if I hook that to a power grid to charge up, let's say it's down to 20% charge, and I need to charge it back up to 90%. How long does that take? Does it take a high current charge, or does it take a while? So
that's a very good question. So you can charge it off the tow vehicle if you're driving. You can hook it up to a wind turbine. It has its own solar, but the baseline inverter is a 10 to 15 kilowatt inverter, and that's the one that determines the charging rate. So if you put a Tesla fast charger style system on it, you can juice it up really fast. But you have to know what your source of juice is for it, right?
Right. So, but still, it's about a 7 or 8 hour recharge time at 10 kilowatts.
So if you're already down to zero, yeah. So you're talking about a day, but it was designed to operate for about 30 days without a recharge, dispelling 10 to 15 kilowatts hours. So.
Okay. All right. Josh Weaver, are you still on?
Yes, sir.
So you made a comment about the Life Pro batteries.
Yeah, I just noted that depending on how you string them up in series in parallel, they have favorable voltage levels for some lead acid applications or a direct swap.
Okay. Now, how small do these get, or how?
Depends on the capacity that you want, but they have a much higher energy density than a lot of the other chemistries like lead acid. So you get at the trade-off of a higher upfront expense, but you get longer life, better temperature operations, and it holds the amount of power it can deliver over much longer portion of the discharge time, whereas something like a lead acid starts to drop off as the voltage drops.
Okay.
Yes, he speaks true. And we also submitted a call to the Arctic once upon a time, where, if you get too cold, if you own a Tesla, which has a similar battery chemistry, in ultra cold places, they just don't take a charge. So in our paradigm, we can actually draw a little bit of the power off the battery to have a heater in an insulated pallet, and that allows you to use the system in cold weather operations.
How much does that reduce the capacity if you're, say, minus 30 C or something, or minus 30?
So theoretically, it's about 30% hit.
Got it. And the reason I'm asking, we had an Arctic event not too long ago. That was at IF, and that's one of the issues they were talking about was battery storage in those cold environments because of the, as you know, lack of energy density, right? You get a reduction in the cold weather. Some of these guys are carrying 2 and 3 times the batteries they would normally carry in warmer weather. And we were trying to figure out a chemistry that could work in that lower temperature, or, bleed off some heat.
It's not so much the chemistry, it's the insulation. And the reason that ours would work so well is our insulation is being used for thermal protection systems to make hypersonic vehicles. So it's got to be really, really good insulation, right? And it doesn't matter hot or cold, insulation works in both directions.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. So anybody else on here? battery technologies that you've come across, that you've used? Unmute and share. All right, well, I'm gonna go into the next topic. I think, Dean, are you still on? Dean Passion, small RF antennas? Can't tell. Dean is still on. Okay, Dean, I'm not hearing you if you're on. All right, so anybody with LPI, LPD Communications? Boy, we're losing a lot of this.
Hey, Eugene, this is Josh again.
Yeah.
So it's I'd say it's we have a project that's still ongoing, but we're developing a DSA, LPI, LPD Type 1 secure radio on a chip, on an ASIC for Group 1 UAS was the initial target, but it's being adopted into other programs of record for other missions. But we're getting ready to run a second spin of the prototype ASICs to develop some of the or to fix some of the manufacturing issues. But by March 25, we should have production ready units with the prototype to production clause in the contract, so you can go straight to a production contract without compete if needed and if anyone's interested.
Do you want to share where you're with, because it just says DoD?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm with OUSDR&E.
Yeah. Yeah, because I actually I've been talking to some people on LPI, LPD stuff.
Hey, Josh, for your chip, is this for command and control of the UAV itself, or to offload like full motion video and other sensor data?
It's both.
Okay, got it.
Hey, Josh, we've done about I want to say 5 LPI, LPD projects recently, and like I said earlier, a lot of these are parallel projects. So some of these vendors, although they come up with something that's certainly viable and novel, as they say, as Highlander says, there can be only one. Can I steer some of these folks to you that might have something that certainly is worth a procurement contract?
I'm not in the procurement side of things, but I'm happy to forward that to like PEO Aviation or someone like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, you just take a look at them and see if it's something viable.
Sure. Yeah. Do you have my contact information? I got to jump for another meeting.
I can find it. Yep, I got your name. I will look you up on the global.
All right. Thanks a lot, sir.
Real quick before you go, Josh, are you working with Motorola Solutions at all?
Not currently.
Okay, I'm going to send you a white paper that would be of interest.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep, and it has to do with LPI, LPD.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. So I'm just going to open it up. Anybody that has technologies, solutions that they want to discuss that are applicable to SOCOM challenges? Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you. And thank you, Eugene and Dennis, for hosting and talking today about the SOCOM challenges in search of solutions. My name is Alex Moffett. I am a special operations veteran, as well as the co-founder and CEO of Clara Copilot. I was curious what you guys were seeing on your end in regards to a need for, solutions focused on information warfare. Right now, we're building a dual-use AI tool focused on narrative intelligence and transforming that into actionable insights. So thinking about like recommended courses of action based off commander's intent. So just curious what you guys are, seeing in the force. I've been out about a year now, so just curious from your all's point of view.
Free space there. We've seen quite a few companies come through. I'll give you an example. One company using AI to reduce their sit rep creation time. And they went from, a couple weeks or 10 days down to hours. I think, this is one of the manpower issues, right? We can offset some of the hiring problems by trying to use AI to kind of do everything from intelligence to just sifting through tons of data and trying to find the relevant information. I think that's important. It's easy to talk about. It's even more difficult to implement, though. And trying to find something that actually works I think has been challenging for the DoD. How do they use the AI on a smart level? We're doing a project right now looking at trying to reduce the contracting officer load. They're not going to be able to hire their way out of the KO problem they have. And so if we can allow the KOs to maybe use some kind of artificial intelligence or machine learning to do their job kind of for the most part for them, so each KO can do more contracts. So we're looking at how to automate their workflow and then use AI to really kind of give them reminders that, oh, you have to get this signed before you go to the next step. Those kind of things that can really screw them up in their process when they don't get things done in order or in a timely manner.
No, that makes sense. And what our product is focused on is bringing all open source data. Right now, we're looking to expand from open to closed as a product expansion strategy, but bringing in all open source data, so news, social media, so that can help support the data management process. So from days, weeks, months of what I was doing when I was downrange in East Africa to, within a couple hours, and doing that narrative intelligence for information operations, intelligence analysts, and then being able to do the actual analysis and then provide, again, recommended courses of action based off different commanders' intent in like a multi-dimensional solution. So yeah, I definitely see that. I know that it's been very time consuming from my experience, and then also talking to my peers that are still in. So I definitely agree.
How mature is your tool right now, Alex? TRL level wise.
So we're, a very early TRL4.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, have you applied to a Tech Tuesday?
I have, but I have not heard back.
Okay. How long ago did you apply?
In the end of June.
You should have an answer by now.
Yeah.
Let me go shake that out of the trees, because you should have got an answer. Yeah, we need to get you in front of some folks. I think even if you're an early 4, that's fine.
Okay.
If you've got something kind of working, if there's an interest, we can kind of help you get to that more mature 6, 7.
No,
level.
I appreciate it. And
we'll get you in front of the right folks at least. Yeah, I'll take that as an action item and find out where you're at. And that's Clara Copilot.
Yep, Clara Copilot. And we actually, have been in a company since April. We've been to 2 GIFIX events out at MPS. We've actually been invited already to come back in November. We'll be going to Tide next week. So yeah, we're hitting the ground running.
Okay, yeah, we'll be out at the GIFIX in November. Either Dennis, me, or both of us will be out there. So yeah, we'll come say hi to you out there and see what you're up to.
Hey, Alex, did you look at that JSOW GPT event? Do you think your product might be tailorable to that?
I looked at it. I think it would be a little bit out of our focus for right now. But that doesn't mean that doesn't warrant a conversation. But I can follow up with both of you after this. I saw your guys' emails in the chat, and we can set up something or talk more then, if that works for both of you. Yep. Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, and please keep me copied on the correspondence so that we can assist in the facilitation and these things move forward. All right, so thank you. Mr. Gupta, you have your hand up.
Hi, thanks. I'm curious as to how much collaboration or digital collaboration still seems to be a problem for the DoD and the ecosystem. I represent a company called ExoStar, and we have a managed solution software package that allows you to securely collaborate up to no foreign across multiple entities. We have a lot of foreign nationals coming in, ITAR nations, ITAR capabilities. And so the value proposition, we think, is that you can actually use CVR type of capabilities today up to no foreign. But I'm curious as to whether that would be of interest to SOFWERX and the community or not, and specifically about sort of enabling many of the non-traditional suppliers to get ready to get up to CMMC level 2 like right away. So I'll go off camera and let you comment. Thank you.
Yeah. So is your tool, would this be like a replacement for Slack or Discord or some of the other collaboration tools out there?
It would be potentially a replacement, but it would be the unique proposition is that you can go up to no foreign. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, there's I'm asking, right? Because as you know, those tools are highly vulnerable, and I think to me that's probably the next challenge we're going to see is cyber attacks on these collaboration tools, because a lot of companies, engineering especially, the engineers are all getting together on Discord or Slack or whatever their tool of choice is, sharing tons of insider information. Company designs, schematics are all on there. And boy, if you can convince someone you're part of the team and you're in, you got free reign to look through all of their design files. So I think there needs to be some kind of securing of those. And if you think you have a solution for that, or a tool that is more secure, I think SOCOM would definitely be interested in that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. They've probably got a handful of tools already that are IL6, and it's tough to get into that trade space. It really is. It's hard to, even though you might have the greatest tool invented, to get them to pivot, or any other government agency to pivot what they've already invested millions in. That's a tough nut to crack. I'll just be honest. I mean, you're in a crowded trade space there for sure.
Yeah, but just not that I'm arguing with Dennis over here, but
we never do that.
I've had colonels come in here and they're using WhatsApp and Snapchat in theater to communicate with their groups because that's what they have. And I think if you've got something that could make that a little more secure, I think they would be open. And their complaint is that I don't have access to all these IL6 tools that Dennis is referring to in theater. And so if you've got something that, I can access through a cell phone or through a device they'd actually would have on their person, especially dealing with partner forces, I would say get in front of them because I think there is a use case there. But yeah, as far as getting a big government, with all the Air Force is going to use this tool, that's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
We understand that, you guys are at the tip of the spear trying different things. So we're very excited about that. Thank you.
All
right. Dave M., go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Dave Maraska with the AI Strategy. The product is 9 High. And I sent you an email a little bit earlier. We're actually doing a scouting program for companies in 8 different categories of technologies, and very much would like to team up with you folks. And if you can, come and present to the teams that we're bringing onto the platform, that we're essentially measuring the maturity of their technologies and of their companies to be able to deliver technologies forward, to the warfighter. And if we can collaborate with you guys, we'd be very interested in doing that. Over.
Absolutely. Yeah, reach out to us and we can get either remotely or have someone come out to your event and pitch or whatever you need us to do.
Thank you. Yeah, there's more on the email. We can go back and forth from there, but appreciate it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Anybody else want to talk about their tech?
That room doesn't open up if there is a shift.
Go ahead, Bill.
Then obviously compromise.
Not reading the chat. So yeah, I got Josh's email, so I'll send that to you, Bill. Brian Crawley, go ahead.
Hi, Dennis. I appreciate you guys coming out. I wanted to ask if you guys have ever heard of volcanic basalt mineral composites.
No.
In what reference? I've heard of that, but what's the application?
Basalt is used as an insulation layer on the SpaceX rockets.
Mm-hmm.
It's been used in hypersonics, Navy SEAL scuba diving equipment, yachts, surfboards, rifle barrels. I'm looking for a place to test some basalt. And just as an example, I'm looking at the banner on the SOFWERX title page.
Mm-hmm.
Just use that as an example. You could do basalt cloth wraps for suppressor barrels and rifle barrels in the snow. It masks virtually 100% of the thermal signature. You can make clothing out of basalt that's nearly bulletproof, explosion resistant. It's fully fireproof, waterproof, chemical resistant. It can be blended with carbon fiber, fiberglass, stainless steel, iron, plastics, about anything you could think of. And I'm looking for a place that could evaluate a wide range of uses of basalt, because right now, my friend Nicholas Gencarel, he's the world leader And he's building another factory right now to produce the world's highest quality basalt products. And SOCOM could really use at least 10 or 20 of his stuff.
Yeah, and just to chime in here, Nick and Brian presented on basalt on the forum previously, so there is a recording for that. Quite fascinating, all the applications that it has. We were actually looking at, you had I believe it was SOCOM that had something for a trigger guard, thermal trigger guard that we were looking at trying to submit to, but we weren't able to get it done in time.
Have you put this into like any kind of lightweight body armor?
It makes fantastic body armor. Fantastic. You can also make basalt into an aerogel, an adhesive paint, clothing, rigid fibers. And I'll give you one real quick example. A 4 millimeter thickness of aerogel cloth, 4 millimeters thick, allows a human to hold liquid molten hot lava or a block of dry ice in their hand without injury. It also masks their thermal, infrared, and radar signature. And it's cheap to manufacture.
Can you send us your line card?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Now that Eugene's jarred my memory, I do remember. I think I did see your presentation. That is pretty. Yeah, if you could send me your line card, there's some folks I can socialize it with.
Yeah, that's another standing call, right? That low observability, LO stuff, right? And anything that can kind of mask signature. We did an event probably a year ago, looking for that, signature masking, everything from RF to thermal. And yeah, I don't know what the outcome of that. I'll go track it down. Those guys may still be looking for answers. Keep an eye on our website too, because here in October the New Year stuff will start hitting. We're kind of into the fiscal year here this last month. Keep an eye on that, because that's something that kind of always seems to poke its head around, is how do I mask a thermal signature?
Out of curiosity, have you reached out to anybody at Crane? I know there were a few folks from Crane on the call.
Yeah. I've talked to Crane, and also when I was when I worked for NAVC at Carter Rock, we were basically spraying this like fiberglass on the side of a boat and testing. I don't know if anybody from Carter Rock is on here that talked to the use of basalt fiber, but it was of interest for the hulls because if I remember correctly, there was discussions on there about grounding if you drive the hull up onto the sand, or if you hit underwater objects, it's very resistant to damage and puncture. So yeah, I think that would be a good opportunity.
So yeah, Brian, if you can send us something, we'll socialize.
I'll send you a message and tag Eugene in it.
Okay. And then if FOA is still on here, is anyone from FOA still on call?
Hi Eugene, this is Glenn.
Hey. So are you familiar with the basalt, Glenn?
No. So if you can connect me with him, that'd be great.
I will do that. All right, Bill Goodman, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, thanks again. So we make a very lightweight shielding. It's lighter than aluminum. It's almost half the mass of aluminum. And we've tested at White Sands Missile Range against electromagnetic pulse and X-rays. We've tested against gamma radiation. We've thermal vacuum tested it for space. And we also went to Cal Davis and hit it with high energy protons. It's a very, very good shielding, and it can be used to protect electronic systems in land, air, space, and sea. We make a low radar cross-section version, and that's going to be tested by the Navy 4th Fleet in September. So other than that, I can't say any more about the performance of it. I can just let you know what the capability is.
Yeah. And I wanted to get David Segal. You talked about your presentation on a Tech Tuesday, David. Would you be interested in highlighting your technology? I'm not hearing from you, David.
Self-driving ships out in the
Okay, well, I'm not hearing from David. So anybody else want to talk about their tech?
This is Steve Moretto. I did have a question about the salt. Yeah, I know that Dr. Goodman has some printable technology, added to manufacturing. I'm wondering if that material could be, put into like a printable composite to, make structures, or put in a coating that could be applied to an interior of a ship to make it more fireproof, or even sort of sprayed on the exteriors of vehicles for signature reduction. Is there something where it's something like that could be easily applied to hard surfaces?
Yes, there is actually. And that was one of the things that Nick had addressed on his presentation. I believe, if not, it's something that we discussed, but basically they've come up with a, just like spray fireproofing, where you can go in and spray the structure, spray the walls, and it provides a coat of insulation as well as fireproofing. So it is available, yes, and I can make that connection.
All right, beautiful.
Okay. Anybody else? Somebody's unmuted. I don't know if that's you guys at SOFWERX or.
We probably are.
Okay, because we were getting some background noise. So anybody else want to talk about their tech? This is your chance. This is where we get things done. Even if you're an agency or a lab. Okay, Mr. Gupta.
Pick up all the air, but I will if you let me.
Fine.
So appreciate the opportunity. I'm also working with a nonprofit called the Neighborhood Resilience Project, who's developed an application for connecting people suffering from PTSD, especially underserved communities. And one of our ideas is that perhaps DoD could use such a tool and such a training platform to help survivors and sort of overall well-being, improve their overall well-being through the use of the app, but also training in this area. So I'd be curious if SOFWERX is or SOCOM is working on any of those ideas. Thank you.
We did an event. I think it's been about 3 years ago with POTF, looking at a suicide prevention tool. Honestly, we don't know what came out of it. They didn't do a follow-on with us, but that was, I think, the one and only time they really went down that kind of technology gap area.
Are you familiar with the POTF route, that preservation of forces and family?
No, but if you could point us in the right direction, that'd be great.
Sure. It's POTFF, preservation of the force and family. We'll see if we can get you a contact. That's kind of in their wheelhouse, right? It's kind of the after combat, they look at the PTSD and those kind of effects on the soldiers.
Yeah, and that's something that the forum has been focused on. Last week we discussed some healthcare and mental illness, PTSD. We do work with DevCom Soldier Center. They do a lot of work around traumatic brain injuries and that. I do a lot of work in the intellectual developmental disability and autism realm as well. So, Mr. Gupta, if you would like to send me your info, we can schedule a call.
That'll be great. Thank you. And my
All
son
right.
is also on the spectrum, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Unmute and offer up what you'd like to say.
Hey, Eugene, it's Commander Peters,
Hey.
Navy SFC. So thanks. I got to get running into this gift. Is good timing, but really interested to get the meeting together. Thanks, SOFWERX guys, for really, really informative. I got some go back actions there. Eugene, I'll tag up with you at one point if that's okay, just to go over a few of those fine points. A lot of good need here, especially as I head down to Coronado. So I'll be heading down there in a few months. So want to get some deep dive actions so I can take some of this stuff with that was presented from SOFWERX down there today.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and I would think too, because the CBs are out there. They're in Port Hueneme and in Guam now. Does SOCOM work with the CBs at all? I mean,
there is some bleed over. Let's put a pin in that one because I think there might be some good channels to go down for me on that side. Sorry, my brain is a flurry right now with some ideas, but no, this was a really great forum today.
Well, thank you. A little wanted it to be more technology focused, but I don't drive this. The community drives it. So they like people have been saying that they really enjoyed the interaction and the information. And I think it was a lot of great information.
Yeah, my tangent is still going to be the direction of proliferated handheld. Any kind of proliferated handheld devices like portable EMP type stuff that we talked about before. Yeah, that's where my head is at. Yeah, but that'll be good. Space Force, Headquarters Space Force is still interested in this too, so I'll float it by them as well.
Sounds good.
All right, Command Freezer's out.
Yep. Dave M.
Yeah, just one last question. Yeah, again, Dave Maraska with AI Strategy. I had posted a question earlier about Vulcan and your use of Vulcan along the way. I'm not sure that you guys addressed that. If you did, I missed it. I apologize.
No, we skipped over it. I'm sorry about that. I was going to check to see if you were still on. So if you could discuss Vulcan real quick.
Yeah,
Can you guys stay late?
Yeah, I can give you a few more minutes, but yeah, let me wrap this up real quick because yeah, that was kind of late on briefing. That's not necessarily part of SOFWERX, but there are other entryways into SOCOM. We're not the only door. Vulcan is one of them. Vulcan, though, might cost you. It's a repository. So what it is, think of it like a Rolodex. You're kind of older like me, so you remember the Rolodex days. You're putting your card in a Rolodex. You may not hear anything for 6 months or maybe even a year. And then what will happen is when a program manager is looking for technology, he's going to keyword search that and find your technology and give you a call and say, can I have it tomorrow? So it's not an instant feedback. The other way is ESOF, which is Engage SOF. And that is a feedback. They review those, I think, monthly. But Engage SOF is an entry you can put in within a month. After they review them, they'll kind of respond back on what they liked, what they didn't like, or here's something to apply for. Look at this BAA, that kind of thing. And it's a little more interactive, but neither one of those are as interactive as SOFWERX is, where you got a person and someone to call.
That's what I kind of thought, but so if you check out the email that I sent you earlier, right at the start of this, I think it'll explain a little more about what we're doing and about how I think it'd probably be really good for us to engage and talk a little bit more. So we can pick that up afterwards. Thank you very much, everybody who put this together. This is fantastic. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Eugene, I think you had a pretty good mix here. A little of kind of reverse pitch and a little technology. So I thought it was pretty good. At least that's my take on it. Great forum.
Good. As long as it benefits you guys and it benefits the community. All right. I'm just tracking the chat here. There's things blowing up in the chat. So if anybody else wants to talk about their technology, you got a couple minutes before we close out. Anybody can reach out to us or to SOCOM, or excuse me, or to SOFWERX. If it's special operations focused, to SOFWERX. The forum itself addresses all industries and all technologies, and I'm not hearing anything. Okay, so thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, I think it went pretty well. Definitely had the turnout. I did not see Dave on here from DefenseWorks, but no, I think it was a good format, a good forum. I learned a lot. So this was different because this was the first time we actually went from the challenge to the solution side. So it was a learning curve for me as well.
All right. Thank you, Eugene. All right. Thanks, Eugene. Thanks, everybody. SOFWERX.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
You're quite welcome.